When he was young, nobody believed in him. Not his classmates, not his neighbors, not even some people in his own family. His name was Ethan, and from the beginning, his life was not easy. He came from a simple family. They did not have much money, and they did not have big connections. What they had was hope, but even that was weak sometimes. At school, Ethan was quiet. He did not speak much. He listened more than he talked. While other students laughed, joked, and showed confidence, Ethan stayed in the background. Teachers often ignored him. Classmates thought he was strange. Some students laughed at him because he asked stupid questions. Some laughed because he failed exams. Some laughed because he dreamed too big. "You are not smart enough," one boy said once. "You will never be successful," another said with a smile. "You should be realistic," people told him again and again. Every laugh stayed in his mind. Ethan tried many things. He tried to study harder. He tried to speak more. He tried to be confident. But many times he failed. His grades were not good. His ideas were not accepted. When he shared his dreams, people smiled in a way that hurt. At home, life was also difficult. His parents worked long hours. They were tired. They worried about money, food, and bills. Ethan did not want to be a problem, so he kept his fears inside. Late at night, when everyone was sleeping, Ethan sat alone in his small room. He looked at the ceiling and asked himself hard questions. Why am I different? Why do I fail so much? Why does everyone laugh at me? Sometimes he felt angry. Sometimes he felt sad. Sometimes he felt like giving up. But deep inside, there was something else. A quiet voice. It said, "You're not done yet." Ethan did not know how or when, but he felt that his story was not finished. Even though the world laughed at him, even though he doubted himself, a small belief stayed alive. Not strong, not loud, but alive. And that small belief would soon change everything. After finishing school, Ethan faced the real world. And the real world was harder than he imagined. He applied to many colleges and training programs. He sent emails. He filled forms. He waited for answers with hope in his heart. Every day, he checked his phone again and again. But the answers came slowly, and most of them were the same. "We regret to inform you. You are not selected. We chose someone else." Each rejection felt like another laugh. Not loud, not direct, but painful. Ethan started to believe what people had said about him for years. Maybe they were right. Maybe he was not good enough. Maybe success was for other people. To survive, Ethan took a simple job. Long hours, low pay, no respect. His boss often shouted. Customers were rude. His body was tired, and his mind was empty. Every evening, he came home exhausted. He looked at himself in the mirror and did not like what he saw. Not because of his face, but because of his fear. One night, after a very bad day, Ethan sat on his bed and felt something break inside him. Tears came, not loud tears, quiet ones, the kind nobody sees. "I tried," he whispered. "I really tried." For the first time, he thought seriously about quitting his dreams, living a normal life, forgetting success, forgetting ambition, just surviving. The next day at work, something happened. During lunch break, Ethan sat alone, scrolling on his old phone. He saw a short video. A man was speaking calmly. "People laugh at you when they don't understand your path," the man said. "Failure is not the end. It is information." Those words stayed with Ethan. That night, instead of sleeping, he opened a notebook. An old, almost empty notebook. On the first page, he wrote, "I will give myself one more chance." Not 10 chances. Not a lifetime promise. Just one more chance. He decided something important. He would stop listening to laughs. He would stop waiting for approval. He would work quietly, slowly, consistently. No one needed to believe in him. Not yet. This was not the beginning of success, but it was the end of running away. And that made all the difference. Ethan kept his promise to himself. Every morning, he woke up earlier than before. Not because he felt motivated, but because he decided to be disciplined. While others were sleeping, he was already sitting at his small desk with a cup of cheap coffee and his notebook. He did not have money for expensive courses. He did not have connections. He did not have support. But he had time and effort. Ethan started learning on his own. He read free articles. He watched tutorials. He practiced every day, even when his head hurt and his eyes were tired. Sometimes he understood nothing. Sometimes he felt stupid. Still, he continued. At work, people noticed his tired face. "You look exhausted," one coworker said with a smile. "Trying to become successful?" Another joked. They laughed, not aggressively, casually, as if his dreams were something funny, not serious. Ethan smiled back and said nothing. Inside, their words burned. Doubt returned again and again. What if they are right? What if I am wasting my time? What if I fail again? But every evening, he opened his notebook and wrote one sentence. Progress is invisible before it becomes obvious. Weeks passed, then months. Nothing big happened. No miracle. No applause. No success story. But something changed. Ethan noticed he was faster, smarter, more confident. Problems that once confused him now felt simple. Tasks that scared him before became normal. One night, he finished a small personal project. It was not perfect, but it was real. Something he built himself. He stared at the screen for a long time. For the first time, he felt proud. The next day, he shared his work online. Just quietly. No announcement. No expectations. A few hours later, a notification appeared. Then another. Then another. Someone commented, "This is good." Another wrote, "Keep going." It was not fame. It was not success. But it was proof. Proof that his effort mattered. Proof that he was not crazy. Proof that laughter does not decide the future. That night, Ethan did not celebrate. He simply opened his notebook and wrote. They laughed before they understood. He knew one thing now. This was only the beginning. Ethan's small success did not go unnoticed. People around him started to ask questions. Not supportive ones. Curious ones mixed with doubt. "So, you think this will work? You really believe you can make it? Be realistic." Some smiled while speaking. Others didn't even hide their disbelief. At work, one coworker laughed openly. "Look at him," he said. "Next big success story." Everyone laughed. Ethan felt his face grow hot. His hand shook slightly. For a second, he wanted to shout, to explain, to defend himself. But he remembered something important. People criticize what they don't understand. So he stayed silent. That night, the doubts came back stronger than ever. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. His mind replayed every comment, every laugh, every look. What if they are right? What if this ends the same way as before? He almost didn't open his notebook. Almost. But he did. Instead of writing goals, Ethan wrote fears. "I'm afraid of failing again. I'm afraid of being laughed at. I am afraid of wasting my life." When he finished, he read the page slowly. Then he turned to the next page and wrote one sentence. "Fear means this matters." That changed something inside him. Ethan realized success was not about confidence. It was about moving forward despite fear. The next weeks were hard. Very hard. Progress felt slow again. Mistakes happened. Some people online criticized his work. Not politely. "This is useless. You're not special. Stop dreaming." Ethan read every comment. And then he closed the app. He decided to protect his focus. Instead of arguing, he practiced. Instead of explaining, he improved. Instead of reacting, he worked. Late nights became normal. Early mornings became routine. His world became smaller, but stronger. No one noticed the growth. But Ethan did. And deep inside, something new was forming. Not motivation. Not excitement. Belief. Quiet belief. One evening, while Ethan was working late, an email arrived. At first, he almost ignored it. He was tired, and many emails before had brought nothing but disappointment. But something about the subject line made him stop. "Interested in your work." His heart beat faster. The email was short. A small company had seen his project online. They were not famous. They were not rich. But they were real, and they wanted to talk. Ethan read the message again and again. His hands trembled. This was the moment he had imagined so many times. And now that it was real, fear returned. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? What if they laugh too? For 2 days, Ethan did nothing but think. At work, he made mistakes. At home, he couldn't sleep. His mind was fighting itself. On the third night, he opened his notebook. He wrote 2 lists. If I try, I might fail. I might be judged. I might feel embarrassed. If I don't try, I will always wonder. I will stay the same. I will prove the laughter right. He stared at the page for a long time. Then he sent a simple reply. Thank you. I would love to talk. The meeting was online. Ethan prepared for days. He practiced answers. He reviewed his work again and again. Still, when the call started, his voice was not steady. But something surprising happened. They did not laugh. They did not doubt him. They listened. They asked questions. They gave feedback. Some of it was positive. Some of it was honest and hard. This part needs improvement. You still have a lot to learn. Ethan nodded. For the first time, criticism did not hurt. Because it came with respect. At the end of the call, they said something he never forgot. You're not perfect, but you're growing. And that matters. They did not offer him success. They did not promise money. They offered him a chance. After the call ended, Ethan sat in silence. Outside, people were laughing somewhere. Cars passed. Life continued. But inside Ethan, something had changed forever. No one was laughing now. The opportunity excited Ethan, but it also scared him. The small company gave him a trial task. Nothing big, but for Ethan, it felt like everything. This was his chance to prove that he was not just dreaming. The deadline was tight, very tight. Ethan woke up earlier than ever. He worked before his job. He worked after his job. Sometimes he worked until his eyes burned and his head hurt. Mistakes happened. Files didn't open. Ideas failed. Time moved too fast. There were moments when Ethan stared at the screen and felt completely lost. I'm not ready, he whispered. I'm pretending. That feeling had a name. Self-doubt. Old voices returned to his mind. The laughs. The jokes. The words, you can't do it. One night, he almost gave up. He closed his laptop and sat in darkness. Then his phone buzzed. A message from the company. Take your time. Focus on quality, not perfection. Those words calmed him. Ethan realized something important. They did not expect a genius. They expected effort. So he slowed down. He fixed one small problem at a time. He asked questions. He learned from mistakes instead of hiding them. He stopped trying to impress and started trying to improve. Days passed. The task slowly took shape. When he finally sent his work, Ethan felt empty. Not happy. Not proud. Just calm. He had done his best. Now came the hardest part. Waiting. At work, people still laughed. Someone joked again about his big dreams. Ethan smiled politely. But this time it didn't hurt. Because his belief was no longer based on opinions. It was based on effort. Late that night, another email arrived. We reviewed your work. Ethan's heart raced. He took a deep breath before opening it. Ethan opened the email slowly. His hands were shaking. For a second, he was afraid to read the words. Afraid they would confirm every fear he had carried for years. Afraid the laughter would return. He took a deep breath and began to read. We were impressed by your progress. Ethan paused. He read the sentence again. They talked about his effort, his improvement, his attitude. They mentioned mistakes, but also how he fixed them. They noticed his discipline and his willingness to learn. At the end of the message, there was one simple line. We would like to continue working with you. Ethan sat in silence. No shouting, no celebration, just quiet disbelief. This was real. For years, people had laughed at him. For years, he doubted himself. And now, without noise, without drama, success had knocked on his door. The next day at work, something strange happened. Ethan walked differently. Not proudly, not arrogantly, calmly. A coworker asked, So, how's your little project? Ethan smiled. It's going well, he said. No explanation, no defense. Later that week, he reduced his hours at the job. Not because he was rich, but because his focus had changed. People noticed. Some were confused. Some were silent. Some stopped laughing. At night, Ethan opened his notebook. He wrote, They laughed at the beginning. They were quiet at the middle. They will understand at the end. But deep down, he no longer needed their understanding. He had something better. Proof. Proof that effort beats opinion. Proof that belief grows through action. Proof that success does not announce itself. It arrives quietly. And this was still not the end. It was only the moment when laughter turned into curiosity. As Ethan moved forward, life became different, but not easier. New responsibilities came with new pressure. The company trusted him more now. Expectations were higher. Mistakes mattered more. Every task felt heavier than before. At the same time, people from his past returned. Old classmates sent messages. Hey, I heard you're doing well. We should meet sometime. Some were kind. Some were curious. Some were pretending nothing had happened. Ethan noticed something strange. The same people who laughed before now asked questions. How did you do it? What's your secret? Can you help me? Their tone had changed. But Ethan remembered the past clearly. He remembered the silence when he needed support. He remembered the smiles that hid doubt. He remembered the laughter. This time, he did not feel angry. He felt focused. At work, challenges increased. One project failed badly. A mistake cost time and money. Ethan felt responsible. Old fear returned again. What if this was luck? What if I don't belong here? That night, he walked outside alone. The city lights looked cold. People passed him without noticing. He realized something important. Success does not remove doubt. It teaches you how to walk with it. Ethan returned home and opened his notebook. Instead of goals, he wrote lessons. Growth is uncomfortable. Pressure means trust. Confidence is built, not given. The next day, he spoke honestly with his team. He admitted the mistake. He explained what he learned. He offered solutions. No one laughed. They respected him. That was new. Ethan understood now. Real success is not proving others wrong. It is becoming stronger than your past. And with every step forward, his old fears became smaller. Ethan was doing well, but life prepared one final test. The company received a big opportunity, a project that could change everything. It was risky. The deadline was short. Failure would cost reputation and trust. Ethan's manager called him. We want you to lead this part, she said. The room felt quiet. Ethan nodded, but inside, fear exploded. Led? Him? That night, sleep did not come. Old memories returned again. The laughter, the rejection, the moments when people said he was not enough. This project felt bigger than skills. It felt personal. Halfway through the work, problems appeared. A key idea failed. The team was stressed. Time was running out. Some teammates doubted him. Are we sure this is the right direction? Maybe we should change the plan. Ethan felt the pressure on his chest. This was the moment where many people quit. The moment where excuses feel safe. He went outside alone and took a deep breath. Then he remembered something simple. People laughed at him before he started. People doubted him when he tried. People became quiet when he improved. This was just another stage. Ethan returned and spoke calmly. We made a mistake, he said, but we will fix it. He broke the problem into small steps. He listened. He adjusted. He worked longer than anyone else. Not to show off, but to protect the vision. The final night came. The project was sent. Ethan leaned back in his chair, exhausted. For the first time, he felt something new. Not fear, not doubt, peace. Because no matter the result, he knew one truth. He was no longer the person people laughed at. He was the person who didn't stop. The results arrived the next morning. Ethan's team had succeeded. The project was praised. Clients were impressed. His managers congratulated him. Even some former critics sent quiet messages of respect. For a moment, Ethan closed his eyes and let it sink in. Years of laughter, doubt, rejection, and struggle had led him here. Every small effort, every late night, every silent promise to himself had finally created something real. He thought about the people who doubted him. He thought about the times he almost gave up. Then he smiled quietly, not because he wanted revenge, not because he wanted applause, but because he understood something bigger. Success is not about making others believe in you. Success is about believing in yourself, even when everyone else laughs. Ethan realized that the laughter, the criticism, and the failures were not obstacles. They were lessons. They taught patience. They built resilience. They sharpened focus. From now on, he would face challenges differently, with calm, with discipline, with faith in his own effort. He wrote in his notebook one last sentence. They laughed at the beginning. They doubted in the middle. But I never stopped. That is my victory. Ethan looked at his small desk, at his old notebook, at the quiet room that had witnessed his struggles. He smiled again, because he knew something very important. The journey is the reward. And from that day forward, no laugh, no doubt, no failure could shake him. He was no longer the boy they laughed at. He was a man who never gave up.